Welcome to AI Business TV. We're here at the AI Summit San Francisco 2019, and we're very pleased to have with us today Keith Kirkpatrick, Principal Analyst at Tractica. How are you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Welcome to the AI Summit. It's been a busy few days for you. You've been involved in various parts of the show. So yesterday was the Quantum Computing Summit.
Yes.
So you were chairing that.
That's correct.
What were the main takeaways or major talking points and debates?
Sure. Well, with quantum computing, that's certainly been a topic that a lot of people and a lot of companies have been interested in over the past several years. But this week it was very interesting because Google made an announcement and then pulled back that they had achieved what's called quantum supremacy or quantum advantage. That was a big talking point because that represents, or potentially represents, a real catalyst in the market. The fact that we can go from sort of theoretically saying at some point we're going to reach this point where a quantum computer can achieve or solve a problem that a traditional classical computer cannot. That could be a game changer. Now certainly there's some caveats there. If in fact Google did achieve it, which we think is the case, obviously there needs to be some peer review going on, it means that they really solved a very, very precise small problem in a lab. It does not mean that tomorrow we're going to see this rapid expansion of quantum computing across all different industry sectors. But it does represent a big step in the right direction.
Would you consider that a milestone then for the industry?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. That's something that we've been talking about over the past several years where we've been saying, once that happens, it shows that this is real and that we can move on to the next phase, which is starting to slowly build up those quantum machines to go from, again, this very, very small, focused problem, solving that problem, and then eventually getting to the point where quantum machines can be used in conjunction with classical machines to start to solve real-world use cases and problems.
So speaking to that then, because that's pretty much been a major talking point on many of the stages of the AI Summit is the use cases.
Yes.
What are some of like the key examples that were kind of discussed yesterday at Quantum Computing Summit?
Well, one of the ones is clearly if we're talking about things like quantum chemistry. The idea is if you're trying to develop a new material or develop a new drug, you need to actually go through and look at the various molecules and elements and see how they're combined together. And that can be an extraordinarily difficult mathematical problem because you have each particular element can be combined with any number of different ones, and the number of combinations there, the numbers just become exponential in size. It becomes very challenging for a traditional classical computer to do that. What quantum does, it allows all of those combinations, essentially, if you have a big enough computer to do it, can solve for all of those combinations at once, very, very quickly. That is a game changer because then drug development that would take years. I think the estimate now is an average drug takes about 14 years and several $billion to bring to market. That time frame can be compressed down from years to perhaps even months.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah. Another one is certainly if we're looking at optimization issues, so things like traffic optimization. If we talk about this new world we're heading to with connected vehicles and cameras everywhere, the ability to help manage both the traffic signals as well as autonomous vehicles, and then accounting for other factors such as pedestrians walking across the street, grade crossings when trains are coming across. The ability to manage all of that data together simultaneously to help provide an optimal route for you or I driving in our cars or in our Ubers or our connected vehicles. That will be a game changer because right now all we're relying on is each individual vehicle taking their own little path, and then the only way we know that there's a traffic jam is when we get our Waze alerts, things like that. That's very, very slow. That's not really real time.
Yeah.
So those are two examples of where quantum is likely to make an impression.
Phenomenal. And taking that a step forward then, looking just generally at the AI landscape. So today, Tractica, you put on a deep dive kind of 3-hour workshop around kind of the industry. It's both for enterprises and the more kind of the internet and tech heavyweights in the room.
Sure.
It's a great time to kind of sit together and collaborate and kind of partner on addressing real life challenges and seeing how we can move the industry forward. So what were the major discussion points at that workshop?
Sure. Well, one of the first ones is that we're moving from this period where companies are taking a sort of proof of concept approach, pilot project, and actually scaling these programs to real, basically across the enterprise, and they're employing them in everyday interactions. A great example of that is if you look at virtual digital assistants or chatbots. Nowadays, if you talk to your bank, you call on the phone to talk to your bank, or if you interact with your insurance company, if you interact with really any large company, they are at the very least starting to roll out these interactive digital assistants which use artificial intelligence to make it almost seem like you're talking with a real human. Now, clearly they do disclose that it's a machine that's working, but the idea is to speed those interactions, to take the friction out, and then hopefully to learn from those interactions to provide a better customer experience. So if you call up, they can say, oh, Keith, I know it's you, I know your preferences, I know the issues you've had in the past, let me create a better experience for you. That looks to be one of the key areas in which AI technology can be deployed across really almost any vertical market segment.
Great. So while we're talking about verticals, Tractica do a lot of vertical-based research, market forecasts, and things like leading up to 2025.
Sure.
The kind of revenue generated via AI is going to
explode.
Absolutely explode. Where will the lion's share of that revenue sit, do you think?
Sure. One of the biggest areas where we see artificial intelligence being deployed is in business services. Everything from chatbots, which you can use to interface with your customers, to back-end processes, such as HR. So instead of having to call your HR representative to do things like check on how many days of leave do I have, or what is my 401k contribution, you can actually interface with an internal virtual digital assistant. It makes the process more seamless and actually helps you in terms of reducing costs because you don't need to have a person handle these sort of low-level questions. But you also gain a little bit more loyalty and respect from your employees because they are, getting service instead of getting the runaround. Another category is automotive. In addition to powering autonomous vehicle technology, there's a lot of personalization going on within the car. So when you sit in the car, you won't have to select which radio station you want. The car will actually learn what your preferences are. So you may sit in the car and it will automatically start up the radio playing whatever favorite artist you might have. And then of course there's telecommunications. This is another big opportunity, both in terms of customer service, because obviously there's a lot of competition in the space, trying to figure out people's preferences when it comes to their favorite streaming services, their favorite television shows, their favorite, what have you, any kind of content there, but also on the back end in terms of provisioning the networks. As we start to see the proliferation of 5G services, there's a lot more you can do within the same level of bandwidth there, and being able to manage the network much more efficiently, AI is going to play a huge part in that.
It's a lot to look forward to.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.